Windows are literally falling out of this building and need to be strapped into the window frames to avoid them from falling out and hitting vehicles, people below. The chimneys are structurally deficient and not only cause a fire hazard as a result, but also, again, have the danger of falling apart and hitting passersby or occupants of the building as we work here every day. The building, in short, is subject to catastrophic failure in many different places. On the infrastructure of the building, it may surprise you to know, although if you worked here it wouldn't, that 35% of this building has no HVAC coverage. No heat, no ventilation or air conditioning. And we have people in the executive branch working in those conditions every day, which is not only a life safety issue, but it's also an issue for the preservation of the equipment here and the documents here as well. Because of the window situation I spoke to you about and the hodgepodge nature of the HVAC system, we are wasting enormous amounts of money on energy. And the estimates we got for a renovation of this building are that we would save over 25% of the cost that we spend every year on energy in this building, on electricity because of the aged and faulty wiring, and on heating and air conditioning costs, obviously, because we have windows falling out and an HVAC system that is not really a system. And if you walk around the exterior of the building, you'll see it's a hodgepodge of units that have been band-aided throughout time with no central coordinating system. Not to mention that in this portion of the building, we have antique data systems as well, which clearly affects our ability to be able to operate effectively. All of those things are things that we need to deal with and deal with quickly. So, we are working with the Economic Development Authority today to announce that we are going to begin immediately a complete renovation of the State House, a complete exterior renovation, a complete interior renovation and restoration. There will be new building infrastructure throughout, the HVAC systems, the data systems, health and life safety systems as well. We'll repair all current code violations and ADA violations, of which there are too numerous to list here today. And we will make sure that the entire building is once again a place that we can have people be proud to come and visit and proud to be a symbol of the government of our state. So when will work begin? Work will begin immediately on the initial stages of this. It's a total $300 million renovation of the State House. We will absolutely evacuate the building no later than July of this year and move to other space throughout the city of Trenton, where the executive branch will be housed for the better part of the next 4 years while this renovation takes place. I've been urging this to be done for years, but I am not going to leave here without it being done. To leave the State House in this condition is an embarrassment to the people of the state. It impacts the health and safety of the people who work here and visit here and have business here. And quite frankly, it's shameful. I would urge any of you, because for many of you who are here every day or many days, this becomes just another office building. It's another place where you come to do your work. I would urge you today, if you have an umbrella or if you don't care about the rain, to walk around the outside of this building and really look at what this place looks like from the outside, let alone what happens here on the inside of the building to folks. This is not what should be the symbol of state government in the state. It also should not be a place that we ask people to come and work in every day and put their lives and their health at some measure of risk. Not to mention all the people who come to visit either for tourism reasons or just come here to conduct business because they want to come and address their government. They should not have to worry about a chimney falling down or a cornice coming off the edge of the building. They shouldn't have to worry about being unsafe in this building if there was in fact a fire. They shouldn't have to worry about the fact that we don't have code-approved egress, fire egress from this building. And as many of you know, on the days when we have significant legislative activity, this building can become very crowded depending upon the level of interest of the public and interest groups in being here. Any type of tragedy that would happen here, if I didn't do anything about this, would be both on my watch and on my conscience. And I'm not going to allow either one of those things to happen. And so I think this is a good day for us in the state to acknowledge that this building is a treasure. It's a jewel. It's a gift that's been passed down literally to us from our founding fathers. The people who were running this government in 1792 were many of the people who were involved in the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and our United States Constitution thereafter. And the formation of this government in this state, going all the way back to Governor Livingston in 1776, made this State House, beginning in 1792, the centerpiece of state government. Remember that the legislative portion of this building was renovated just 25 years ago. There will be some renovations we will make on the exterior of that portion of the building as well, to deal with structural concerns that we have about that portion of the building. And that's included in this project, as is across the plaza there, the World War II plaza, 135 West Hanover Street, is a building that will be included in this renovation for two reasons. One, to make it occupiable for swing space for members of the executive branch to operate there during the time the renovation is going on, and then for permanent space for the state police to operate their things that they need for safety of the State House. You will see everything from the front of this building, the way it looks now, the entrance the way it looks now, with what I've always called like Home Depot aluminum at the front of this building, to be restored back to the way it looked in the late 1800s, which was a really spectacular looking entrance to this building. We have a responsibility to history as well. We also have a responsibility to safety, finally, not only life safety inside the building, but the way we screen people. Right now we screen people inside this building. Anyone who understands Homeland Security, as I do, knows that you don't screen people for explosives and weapons inside the building where you're in fact concerned that they may use those explosives or weapons. And so the new renovation will have a separate space outside run by the state police to screen people for the security and safety of people who enter this building every day, both as visitors and as groups who want to come in and speak to their government. That's important for the safety of the people who work here and for others who visit here for non-business reasons. And so this is an important project for us to do. It is part of my ongoing commitment now over the next 14 months to the City of Trenton. We have done much for the City of Newark and the City of Camden, and we're going to talk a lot about that over the course of the coming weeks. And the development that we see in Newark and Camden is truly spectacular and in line with what we had hoped would happen when we made some of the policy decisions we made for urban revitalization. Trenton is next. And some of you were with us back in the early part of the fall when we announced the demolition of a number of state office buildings to consolidate into one building and turn that over then for commercial development in the city, for them to have more ratables and more private business rather than state government in this town. This is a part of that effort as well, to consolidate space, to modernize and make this space safer, and also allow us then to demolish other buildings in the city, which we'll be announcing in short order, and consolidate. Part of that is because those buildings are older, but the other part of it is because we have nearly 11,000 fewer employees today than the day that I became governor in January of 2010. If you have 11,000 fewer employees, you don't need as much office space. And my job is to make sure we knock down those buildings before someone else comes in and tries to fill them up again at the expense of the taxpayers. So a lot of changes will happen here. And it will be disorienting for some who are used to having the executive branch in this portion of the building when they go to do work with the legislative branch or come to see us. We'll give plenty of notice before we move out in July about where we're going to be, how we'll deal with swing space for everyone, from everyone who works here in the executive branch. This will not disturb, by the way, the legislative portion of the building. They're going to continue to be able to operate just as they've operated before, their chambers, their offices, and the other space that's in the legislative portion of the building. But it will mean a complete evacuation of this portion of the building, complete disconnection of the hodgepodge of HVAC and all the rest. So we will, leave this building no later than July of 2017. That will allow for the most efficient and effective work to be done, and make sure that the people who come to work every day in the executive branch are safe, which is an important priority of anybody who's the head of the executive branch. So I'm hopeful this project will take about 4 years to complete from beginning to end. The inspection phase, the demolition phase, and the construction phase, about 4 years. And I'm hopeful to come back here in 4 years from now and see a State House that we can be just as proud of as Governor Hogan is proud of the State House that he occupies every day in the state of Maryland. People in New Jersey deserve that. The people who work here deserve that. And quite frankly, it would be unwise and unsafe to do anything else. And so I appreciate the cooperation and the help, the partnership of the EDA in getting this done. I appreciate the work of my staff in the governor's office and the attorney general's office on this project. While none of us look forward to leaving this building, we know that we're making a contribution to the future of the state by doing it this way, and making sure that this project is done now and done correctly, and done in a way that will not only ensure health and safety of people, but also have a sense of pride for what's going to happen here in this building going forward. I'll end with this. For those of you who spend a lot of time here, as I do, you know that the most frequent visitors that we have here are fourth grade students across New Jersey. New Jersey's curriculum requires that social studies in the fourth grade is about learning about the state of New Jersey, about its government, its culture, its history. And so almost every day you see some and a tour that's geared towards those kids who come there. None of that existed before we got here, and she was able to get that done with all private money. And I'm proud of her for having done that, and I can tell you that the students who go to Drumthwacket now get an extraordinary experience, much different than they got when we arrived here nearly 7 years ago. Who come to the State House, who are even larger number than the ones who come to Drumthwacket, have that same kind of experience. And so part of what this renovation will do is also set up exhibit and museum space in this space so that these fourth graders can have the type of educational experience, and other visitors who come, adults, out-of-staters who come to learn about it in a way that's modern and interactive, and reflective of the really proud history we have in this state. So this is one of those projects that again, I put in the category of things that only a second-term governor can do. First-term governors are always worried about how things will be perceived, and so that there's no misperception in the public that this is something that's for me. I'll come back maybe as a tourist and see the work that's been done. I'm sure I will, but I'll never have the opportunity to work in these conditions. But for the governors who come after me and the executive branch folks who support them, they deserve this to be done, and doing anything less would be an absolute handing away of responsibility that I have. And it's not appropriate to do that in my view. So we look forward to doing this. We'll get you some more specific information as we continue to go forward on timing and all the rest. But for all of your own purposes, you should anticipate that this building will be completely evacuated right after the budget is done at the end of June of this coming year. And we will be accommodating not only the executive branch employees, but also members of the press with swing space as well, since your press row space is in this part of the building as well. So we'll be working to make sure that you have the appropriate space to be able to cover the legislature and the executive branch during the time that this part of the building will not be occupied. We'll get you all specifics on that so that you all have plenty of time to plan as well. But I think this is an important project to go forward, and as I said, it's going to begin immediately. We've met with the teams. The Treasurer's Office is ready to go with the different bidding documents that need to be done, and we'll get you all specifics on that as the project moves along. I thank you all very much. From some of the reaction I got that I was having a press announcement, I think all of you thought maybe I was announcing something else. Appreciate all of you being here for the State House renovation. It's really wonderful. And to end today, I want to tell you, I have said, and for some reason people think I'm equivocal about this, and I'm not. I am completing my term. Now, I said this on the radio last week, and some people said it was equivocal because I said, if a president of the United States comes to you and asks you to do something, you don't say no before they even ask. I am telling you that I am completing my term. Now, I will also tell you that if something extraordinary happens in the world where my service is needed, I will consider any requests that are made. That's not being equivocal about it. That's understanding what the real world is. But I want you all to take a deep breath and relax. For those of you who would be distraught over the idea that I would leave before January 18th of 2018, no reason for you to be distraught. I'm not leaving. For those of you who would be looking forward to me leaving before January 18th of 2018, sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not going to. So for whatever camp you fall into, or even the neutral one, if there are any neutrals left after 7 years, I'm not going anywhere. And so every time I put out a release on an announcement, please do not get breathless that this is the moment that I'm going to be announcing I'm leaving. Okay? It's just not going to be. And by the way, if I were announcing I was leaving to do something else, I suspect I wouldn't be doing it here, and I wouldn't be doing it by myself. Right? So everyone should just get logical about this and lower the hysteria. It makes my phone go nuts all night after something goes out, and it makes my staff's phones go nuts, and my political advisors' phones go nuts, and I know you all are trying to do your job, but just use a little common sense. If I were announcing I was leaving to go to the Trump administration, would I really do it in the rotunda of the State House by myself without the person who would be actually giving me the job? Knowing him, I suspect he'd want to be there to bestow that upon me or any of the other folks that he's announced.